welcome to another episode of Tampa Bay Politics. We're so happy you decided to join us today. I'm your host, Angela Birdsong, and people during the day call me the Medicare lady because I'm so happy to help people successfully age on to Medicare. And I am so excited because in the studio, first let me say something. Happy St. Patty's Day to all of our Irish Americans. And this is a secret, but my grandmother was Irish, so I'm Irish one day of the year. All right, so let's get on with our show because it's a great one. We have a mover and a shaker today because, I don't have just politicians. I have people who are making a difference in the Tampa Bay area. And that would be him, Mr. Howard Harris. And he is the vice president of the Martin Luther King Parade Foundation. They've been putting on parade for many years in Tampa. So thank you, Howard.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So glad you could make it. And he didn't have to walk very far because his office is right here at THAP, 5508 North 50th Street, the same place as our studio. So he just walked right across the plaza.
That's right. That's right. Long walk.
Long walk. So, Mr. Harris, tell me about you. Where were you born?
I am a Tampa native.
Okay,
born
then.
and raised. And for those of you from Tampa, let me be technically correct. I was raised in Progress Village and Thanota Sassa.
Thanota Sassa. That's a lot of letters, but
It's
a
a
great
lot of
town.
letters, yeah.
I know it's changed a lot since you were there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It was a great upbringing. Just remember Tampa fondly. I've lived a lot of other places, especially after college, but I was determined one day to come back home. So,
Now, where did you end up going to school?
Howard University.
Let's start with the grade school because there might be some people who remember that.
Okay. Yeah, I went to Carver Elementary School, George Washington Carver Elementary School.
Okay.
Which in its original location, which was over where 275 goes through off of Willow now. And my father was actually the principal there.
Oh, he was?
Yeah, he was.
That's impressive.
And then I went to Greco Junior High in those days. And
I didn't know. It's still there.
Yeah, it's still there,
Okay.
there. And then I went to Jesuit High School.
Oh, my son is also a Jesuit man.
Oh, how about that?
Yes.
How about that? Yeah, great school. But Jesuit is all male, and there were only a handful of black students there.
Yes.
So I had an excellent education at Jesuit. It's still
Wonderful.
a very wonderful school educationally, but culturally, I did long for a little bit different experience. And my father had gone to Howard, and I, had a little debate with him about going myself because I wasn't real familiar with what black schools could offer.
Okay,
And
I
so
could understand your
told them-
apprehension with that.
Yep.
Yes.
And so I said, and I was a student of science. Engineering had my heart set on engineering.
Okay.
So I was looking at Georgia Tech, Tulane, places like that. And he said, look, just go for a little while, see how you like it. And if you really want to leave Howard and go somewhere else, then you can do that. We'll support
Famous
that.
last words. How long did you last?
I was at Howard for about a week before I decided, no, I ain't going anywhere.
Okay. Well, you know what? You have a good alumni there with Kamala Harris.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that was one of the first things that I walked into was the fact that there were so many interesting people there, people who were either famous at the time or became famous. But the Howard experience is like none other. Like no other. And if I've had any success in my life and career, I have to owe some of it to my experience at Howard. It was just a fantastic place to be.
Well, you know what? I was actually a communications major in New York at Ithaca College, and we would visit there for their communications conference.
Yeah. yeah.
Yeah, so I got a little taste of Howard.
Yeah.
It's a phenomenal institution.
Especially for a boy from Thanodisassa,
That's right.
who had gone to an all-male, predominantly white high school. It just, blew my world wide open, and
Wonderful.
it was a great place
All for the better.
to grow up. Yep.
Now, where did you end up after Howard?
After Howard, I took my degree in electrical engineering to Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
And,
You really left town.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Went to Los Angeles, was there for about 3 years, worked for a couple of different aerospace companies out there.
Okay.
And an interesting piece on that is while at Howard, got a taste of the whole student activism and what it is that we need to do for black people and so forth and so on. And I left Howard, and I'm going to work for a defense company, which
Okay.
was not well received as a career choice from my revolutionary friends.
Okay.
So I'm out here building weapons and bombs to destroy people, and coming from Howard. So it was an
Now,
interesting
what era
mix.
was that? Were we at war then?
No, we weren't at war necessarily. I graduated Howard in 1980.
Okay.
So I got to Howard in the late 70s, which was the tail end of a lot of the whole, some of the Black Power revolutionary
Yes.
stuff. Last Poets and all of that for some of your listeners who may be
Okay.
old enough to remember that. And I participated in student protest and the like.
Okay.
but
At Howard.
At Howard,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
But my first job out of school was working for the man.
Okay. Reality sets in. If you want to
Reality
get
s-
paid, this is what you need to do.
This is what you need to do. And as an engineer, I really wanted to stretch
And you were
my
getting
skills.
paid.
Yeah. And so, so I spent 3 years in L.A., then came back to Florida, worked for what's now Lockheed Martin in Orlando, also
Okay.
as an engineer.
One of our big Florida employers.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It was a great place to work. I loved Orlando, but the girl that I married was not fond of Orlando.
Well, where is she from?
She was from from Michigan, from Lansing, Michigan,
Okay.
and she had no love for Florida, and
Oh,
so
really? Okay. So where did y'all end up?
we ended up in D.C. Where we met.
Oh, she
And that's
was
where
a
we
DC
started.
girl.
She was a city girl.
She was a city girl. You did
Right.
say she's Detroit. So okay. Okay.
She was a city girl,
Okay.
and so we ended up starting out in D.C.
Okay.
and then we eventually moved to Michigan, and
Did you have children along the way?
we had some children along the way. And one of my reasons for ending up back in Florida was that I really wanted my children to see and experience where I came from.
I see.
And so spent 12 years in Detroit,
Okay.
cold, snow, that was enough.
Okay. All right.
And
Well, you know what? I'm a Motown girl, and Motown moved out of Detroit and went to L.A.
yeah. So we ended up back in Tampa, and where I've been since 2001.
Okay.
And unfortunately, she and I are not together anymore, but I have
I'm
decided.
sure it wasn't the weather.
No, no, it wasn't. Any number of things, but Tampa is where we moved back to, and Tampa is where I stay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. How many children do you have in total?
5.
5. All right now.
All boys.
All boys. You tried and still.
Yeah, the last time out was a set of twins.
I see.
And
Okay.
so when you've had, 3 boys before then, and you're trying for that girl,
Trying.
and the last time out you end up with a set of twin
Twins.
boys.
God has spoken.
God has spoken. And so that was
That's
the
it.
end of that.
All right now.
But I've done my part to
Have they done well?
Most have. There's always a little, a difference in how well they do.
Okay.
But
okay.
I've done my part to populate the world with potential
Amen.
husbands.
Are they all here in Florida?
No. 3 are now in Chicago, actually living with their mother,
Okay.
and one is married. The other 2 aren't. who are in Chicago, and then 2 are here with me in Tampa.
Okay.
One of them is married, and I have 3 beautiful little granddaughters.
Wonderful.
And the other is not married, and who knows when that will ever happen, because he's having a good time.
So far, you've done
being
very
single.
good, very blessed.
I am blessed. Yeah, I am definitely blessed. No question.
Now, where do you work?
I work full time for Hillsborough County in their IT department. I'm a manager in the IT department, and I've been with Hillsborough County since 2004.
Okay.
Worked in a number of departments there, in one management capacity or another. And this year, I'm seriously thinking about hanging it up and spending the rest
Retirement is a beautiful thing.
Yes,
I love
yes,
helping
yes.
retirees.
Yes. And I want to, you get to a certain point in your life and a certain age where you want to make sure that what you do from that point forward is significant.
Now that you can, now that you have the time. That's
that you
right.
build your own legacy and I've always had an itch to be helpful to people and bring quality to people's lives. So I think
It always makes us feel better when we help others.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Which is one reason it was so easy to jump on board with the Martin Luther King Parade Foundation, because it was
what
an
year
outlet
did
to do that.
the Martin Luther King Foundation come into your life?
We came to being in 2014. It was a venture between myself and a fellow who happens to be my cousin, Mr. Scott.
I did not know that Robert Scott was your cousin.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Oh.
First cousin. And Robert asked me to join him in this effort to put something together that would sustain the parade. And, of course, I knew all about Dr. King. He's my fraternity brother, and he's someone who I've admired for all of my life.
Okay.
And so the chance to work with an organization or an effort that we were starting, that we were building
You
from
can mention the
ground up.
fraternity.
Yeah, Alpha Phi Alpha. There it is.
Okay.
I can, and I'm especially proud to mention it without him being here, because he's an Omega.
Oh, I
And
don't know how that happened, but
So we fuss like a married couple sometimes, cat and dog, but we get along. We
as
make
long
it
as
all
you're
happen.
in one, 'cause
Yeah.
it's a good thing.
Yeah. And so he asked that I come help him put this effort together. He had been involved with the parade as a City of Tampa employee for a number of years.
Okay.
And when he retired, he wanted to continue his involvement, and he was handed the baton to lead that effort. And he gave me a call and asked if I would come help him do it. And I, agreed, first out of family obligation, but then just because, I love and respect Dr. King. And so we have been doing
Can't ask
this.
for a greater cause.
Oh, yeah. And we've been doing this since we put on our first parade in January of 2015, and we've been doing it ever since.
And when did they actually start with the parades?
The parade started as a walk back in the late 80s, I think 88, 89. It was a walk to City Hall. It was started by some Hillsborough County employees as part of a scholarship fund effort. And when they started the walk to City Hall, it was part of highlighting Dr. King's legacy, but it was just a beginning to do that and give the employees a way to express their hopes around. And as you remember, the King holiday was starting as an effort.
Right. Okay, so you know what? We're going to wrap this session up,
Yeah.
and then when we come back, we're going to talk more about the beginnings of the parade and all the way up to what we're doing with it today.
Sure.
All right.
By now, we're all aware of the dangers of COVID-19. Like others with existing health issues, cancer patients are at a high risk due to their compromised condition. If you are newly diagnosed with cancer, your care likely can't wait. Moffitt Cancer Center is the best place for your cancer concerns and to provide guidance to help you plan your next steps. We're here for you. Call 1-888-456-2839 or go to moffitt.org/here for you.
Catch my show that will be all up in your business. Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cuso. Every Wednesday at 12:31 p.m. My business experts provide insight for business entities and entrepreneurs. So join us every Wednesday from 12:31 p.m. to 1:31 p.m. at www.intouchnews.com. Catch my show.
Okay, we're back, and I am so happy to have in the studio with me today one of the men who's in charge of the Martin Luther King Parade, which has been in Tampa for many years, and now you get to know some of the people who are behind it. And with me in the studio today is the Vice President of the Martin Luther King Foundation, Mr. Howard Harris. Okay, so let's talk about the beginnings of the Martin Luther King Parade in Tampa.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, there was a group of Hillsborough County employees who wanted to do honor to Dr. King, especially in light of all the activity around making his birthday a holiday.
Okay.
And they started a walk to City Hall. They also started a scholarship fund that was designed to originally for children of county and city employees in the name of Dr. King, a scholarship in his name. And that scholarship effort continued, but when they started to walk, they thought it might be good to also to grow that into a parade to bring more attention to his legacy here in Tampa. And they did that.
Okay.
They formed a parade committee, which ran the parade with the city of Tampa and Hillsborough County's cooperation for many years.
And it was always on MLK Boulevard?
No, it wasn't. It started, I'm told it was in a couple of different places around the city
Okay.
before it landed on Martin Luther King Boulevard. There was an effort to say, now that we have a street named after Dr. King,
Correct.
why
Okay.
don't we do our parade? How can the parade not be on Martin Luther King Boulevard?
Right.
And so when Robert and I took over after Robert's retirement from the city, when we began this nonprofit, and the impetus for the nonprofit was just to make sure that we carried on that legacy and gave the parade some staying power and the ability to run it like a professionally run organization.
Okay.
We also decided that we should lengthen the route because it was one of the shortest parades in the city between Gasparilla and the Children's Parade and all the others. We decided that we would lengthen the route to take in more of our East Tampa community,
Okay.
which, as you know, is a diverse community.
Getting more diverse every day.
And so the city agreed to lengthen the route for us, which is no small thing, because the parade draws a lot of the city's resources on that day, between the police department and the solid waste department and all of the departments that have to come out and provide services.
Correct.
And so we had a good relationship.
Now, can you tell me where the route is?
The route starts at Cuscaden Park on 15th and 21st. It goes north on 15th to MLK Boulevard. We make a right at MLK Boulevard and go down to 22nd Street.
Okay.
And then we make a left on 22nd and go north on 22nd to Osborne, which is where Middleton High School is. And we actually use Middleton as a place for buses and such to park.
Where's the starting point?
The starting point is at Cuscaden.
Okay.
And so we asked the city to let us use Cuscaden as a place for people who were in the parade to park, and they agreed to let us do that. And then we used the streets around Cuscaden to stage the participants.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many participants are you up to now?
Last year, well, not last this past year, of course, everything was canceled due to COVID.
Right.
But the year before, the 2019 parade was the biggest parade that we had done, the biggest parade the city has done for MLK in all the years of its inception.
Okay.
And so we were up to about 150 separate participants. Now, some of those participants are small groups with just a car and maybe a couple of people walking. And some of those groups are large bands. Like last year we had 3 college bands here.
Wonderful.
Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. We had
Bethune-Cookman came down.
They came last year. Miles College from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, came down.
That's impressive.
And Edward Waters from Jacksonville came down.
Okay.
We had
HBCU showed up.
They showed up, and that's always been a goal of ours. When we started the parade out, we couldn't afford to get them here because it's very expensive. People would be surprised how much it costs.
I'm sure that when you're talking about food and lodging,
food and lodging
a bunch of people.
for a couple hundred kids. So we were very proud of being able to pull that off. We had 3 equestrian groups last year.
On horse.
We had the Budweiser Clydesdales.
The Budweiser Clydesdales were in there.
Yeah, that was a huge win for us. And the other 2 equestrian groups were black cowboy groups.
Wonderful.
And so we were very proud of that. And just we always have the elected officials and such, but we also had in addition to the college bands, we had 3 bands from the Caribbean.
Wonderful.
One in particular from Nassau, Bahamas. We felt it important to reach out to them because they had just, if you remember, had a major hurricane come through and destroy some of the islands down there. And so
my family from the island, so hope maybe you can have some Bajans in there. To dress up.
Right. And so we really enjoyed their presence, and it was a boon for them because not only were they able to come here, participate in the ML King Parade, they got to meet the bands from Miles College and some. And
I was going to say, what an educational experience
for them, exactly. And we arranged for them. We had a local church pick up meals for them and allow them to go to Sunday service. Revealing Truth, who has a relationship with Miles College and some of the folks there. I'm told some of the kids from the Bahamian band also got scholarship offers from Miles College Band.
Wonderful.
And so it was just when you bring people together in the right spirit, good things happen. Yeah.
Yes, and for the audience to see those colleges, those HBUs show up, is huge.
It's a great recruiting tool for them too. Yeah.
And when my son was getting ready to go to college, I remember going by the Edward Waters table, and the recruiter said, "Mom, we'll take your son." I mean, he didn't even ask about grades.
Yeah.
We're there to help black men, period.
Absolutely.
And I just love the whole attitude that they have.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we want to continue that, and we're in a friendly competition with St. Pete, which also has one of the largest MLK parades. And oldest
they're a force to be reckoned with over there. But.
Oh yeah. But we're coming up. I think there's room for everybody.
Well, a lot of our people are not going to get across the bay, so what you're doing is very, very helpful.
Yep. We're looking. We're reaching out to FAMU now.
Come on, FAMU. There's some FAMU grads out there can help you out.
There's a few. Yeah.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to
Walter.
He
knows who he is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We got to him too late that year because they had already promised to go to Fort Lauderdale, so they're nationally known.
Maybe they can send a little bit.
I hope maybe they just want to help us out this time. We know that they can get invited all over the country. We know they're big time. But, Bethune would argue that. They're just as as
Come
big
on
a
down.
prize.
There's room for everybody.
Exactly.
Now, unfortunately, you have an announcement about the upcoming parade, don't you?
Well, for this year, obviously in January, COVID was a major concern. And we started out wanting to try and do a January parade anyway. It just looked like that was going to be too big an ask. And people were still in the thick of worrying about what COVID was doing.
It could have been a super spreader.
Yeah, yeah. And so, we want to make sure that our community and our parade patrons are safe. We had initially thought we could delay it to June,
Yes,
because we
to
wanted
Juneteenth.
we wanted to combine it with the Juneteenth celebration, and we had started making some plans around that. But as the vaccine started to roll out, and there were some issues around coverage for our community and hesitancy and some fits and starts with how well it was going, we just decided that it would be best to go ahead and cancel altogether for this year.
Yeah, it's
And,
really a shame. And still, I
yeah.
think they're only down to 60-year-olds right now. So that
Right.
still leaves a huge swath of the population that's not going to be vaccinated right now.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And so we
Well, we're
figured-
sorry that again you're not going to have the parade.
Right, right.
But that's you got to be even bigger and better next
and bigger
time.
and better, exactly. So that's what we're
We're
looking
looking
forward
for
to.
big stuff.
Yep.
But we just love the parade. Now, did you also have vendors there who could vend?
Yeah. Every year we make space for vendors. They can apply to be a part of the parade, just like the entrance. And it's a great opportunity for them to be out in front of thousands of people, and hopefully make a little money.
And get your name out there.
And get your name out there, which is part of what the parade is all about.
Right.
It's one of the few opportunities for that many different aspects of our community to come together at the same time. And so vendors, we love to see vendors. We're hoping that it's a slow process building the relationship with the vendors.
Mm-hmm.
We're hoping that more and more of them show up.
I know the
this-
Democratic Party was going to have a float in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I was
we have a
proud
good
of them.
Yep, absolutely. And we've built relationships with a lot of organizations since we started this, and we have a few other efforts that we've gotten involved in that I could talk about that come about directly as a result of those relationships that we're building.
Well, you have an office here all year round.
Correct.
Okay, and you have staff.
We have temporary staff. We pay them far too little for way too much work.
Okay, I'm sure they would agree with you on
They
that.
would agree with that, but they love the work, and we love having them. And of course, much of what we do every year depends on volunteers. We couldn't do it
Of course.
without an army of volunteers. We love organizations who step up and say, our whole team is going to come and help you guys do this, that, or the other. So every year, we never run short of opportunities for volunteers to help. So I never say no to a volunteer. If we get 100 people volunteering, we know 50 will actually show up and
Correct.
do it. So,
Now you have another man on staff people might know, Rocky.
Rocky Ratliff. He is a former TPD lieutenant, I believe. And we've always had a good relationship with Tampa
How many
Police
years
Department.
did he do on the Tampa Police Department? You think?
I don't know. I
30?
don't want to speak for Rocky.
But he's a retiree.
He's
Officially a retiree.
officially retired, and right away, we put him to work, and he has proven to be a valuable resource for us. Very energetic guy, and he's kept us in good stead with TPD and given us some of the ins and outs of what we needed. We've even, had different grant opportunities and whatnot.
Due to him?
Through.
Wonderful.
We think that
Through
he
Tampa
is-
Police.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
Well, you know what? Teamwork makes the dream work.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be back shortly
All
to
right.
talk more about the MLK Foundation and Parade.
Fantastic.
Touch Radio, where you can listen to a cruising flow of smooth soul and jazz, today's R&B, a fun touch of hip-hop and gospel.
All my music on one station.
Giving you a buffet of music, news, and entertainment. We're In Touch Radio.
Call Ricky. Ask Ricky. You need medical or a lawyer? I got the man to do the legwork for you. We tried the other ones before, so believe we hunted down 813-248-6300. Everything gon' be okay. Call Ricky, he coming. He taking kids state of Florida. Grab a pen of sundown. 184-361 Rick. That's 184-361-425. Never word from the point forward, just recline. Just ask Ricky, plus your boy statewide. Just in case you missed it, I'ma tell you one more time. 184-361 Rick. Call Ricky, ask Ricky. It's a legal medical referral service. The doctors and lawyers in our network are trained in handling auto injury claims and giving you the best medical treatment and recovery. Dial 1-844-361 Rick. That's 1-844-361-7425. Ricky. Ask Ricky.
We're back, and I am so thrilled to have in the studio with me a mover and a shaker, Mr. Howard Harris, and he is the vice president for the Martin Luther King Foundation and Parade, Martin Luther King Parade Foundation. Okay, and so many things have come from the Martin Luther King Parade and the foundation works on. So we want to go over some of those things as well.
Sure. When we started, we have always had an eye toward having an impact in the community beyond the one-day event.
Okay.
And so we knew that we could be a vehicle for that. When you bring all this black talent and presence together, it would be a shame not to highlight that.
And use it for good.
So a year after we put on the first parade, we included a gala as a way to, again, raise funds. We wanted to award scholarships. Education was very important to Dr. King. So
that was a way to raise money?
It was a way to raise money, and it was a way to, we wanted to keep young people involved. So the scholarships that we award are to kids who not only have demonstrated their academic prowess, but their familiarity and heart for the things that Dr. King was about. And so some of these kids are just so incredible when you read their bios. They're carrying these big grade point averages. They're working after school. They've started organizations of their own. They're in the community. They have heavy resumes as just high school students. So we're very excited.
So how do you choose?
Well, we have a committee, and before Miss Gwen Myers became our latest Hillsborough County Commissioner, she also worked with us in putting together a scholarship committee to review those applications and bring light to these kids. So she's been with us, and she still continues to work with us, even though she's got this vaulted position now.
Right.
She is still going to run our scholarship program for us. So
how many children are you able to help yearly?
Well, we've decided to kind of narrow it down to 3 each year.
Okay.
One category is most improved, because we believe that should be rewarded.
Okay.
Everybody doesn't start out on top.
Everybody has issues and challenges.
Exactly.
So how you handle them?
So most improved, and then first in the family, because we are still having a lot of kids be the first in their families to go to college, and then highest GPA. And we get some kids who are just incredible with they have these high GPAs in advanced courses. I mean, they just, they take education seriously.
I love to hear all of it.
Yep.
The Democratic Black Caucus is having their first scholarship. So if everybody gives a little bit, it helps.
It helps. And so we highlight those kids each year at our gala. We also highlight people we call community heroes.
Okay.
These are, Dr. King was about service. His whole life was dedicated to serving his people and his community in this country. And so every year we award at least 4 people from the community who are also deeply involved in service. And we want to make sure that people understand that why we do what we do. It's about service and preserving the legacy of Dr. King.
Now, can you tell us some of the people you've honored in the past?
Oh, boy. We have honored, let's see, Les Miller one year because he's
Former
been
county commissioner.
former county commissioner. But if his elected office it's just scratching the surface of his service to community. We awarded a fellow who is going to, I believe, be our grand marshal this time coming up, Thaddeus Bullard.
Thaddeus Bullard, yep.
We-
And he is a wrestler, I believe.
He's a wrestler.
Okay.
But again, that just scratches the surface of what he does for our
He does
community.
get out there and help the community.
Last year, we awarded, and we try to go across the spectrum in a lot of different fields. We awarded Andrew Warren, state attorney.
Andrew Warren, yes.
And for people who don't know, the reason he was one of our awardees is because we were emphasizing a spotlight on criminal justice reform.
Yes.
And he has been on the forefront of making sure that trying to make sure that we are treated more fairly, particularly when it
He's
comes
trying.
to young people.
You got to give him E for effort.
Right, right. We've awarded, boy, we've been doing it so long, and there's so many people. Some of your listeners may know Ann Jenkins. She's with, I guess, I'm going to say this wrong, Daughters of the Eastern Star, one of those.
Okay.
But
I
Ann,
have heard of the Daughters of the Eastern Star.
right.
Yes,
Ann is a
yes.
tireless worker, maybe not well known in some circles, but she's well known to the Tampa community.
Yes.
So that's just kind of a sampling of the folks. Marvin Knight one year.
We know Marvin Knight's Oriental Fish Market.
Exactly. And
entrepreneur.
And Marvin provides a lot of opportunities for folks that, they may not be aware of. In addition to feeding people for free on the day of the parade, he's done that
wow.
for
I didn't realize that
years.
food was free. I should have gotten over there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we again, some of these folks are well known, some of them are less well known, but when you look at what they do
In the community,
we want to make sure that we show appreciation for folks who do that.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they're doing the tireless work, and sometimes without recognition.
Well, yeah, exactly. None of these folks is doing what they do because they get recognized. They do it because it's an affair of the heart, and so we want to make sure we continue to honor that.
Okay, so how long has the gala been going on?
Since 2016 was our first.
Okay, and where did you have it the last time?
We've always had it at T. Pepin Hospitality
Okay.
Center. T. Pepin has been a good partner for us. We will likely go back there again.
Okay.
But
I
even
just heard it's a COVID site right now.
Exactly. And in fact, when all the COVID stuff came up, T. Pepin actually let us know that they had shut down as an event
I
facility due to
see.
COVID. But I think they've managed to come back from that. But it's amazing how many things are affected by this.
I know. Everything was
pandemic.
affected and everyone was affected. And
Mhm.
our community being the most disproportionately affected,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yep.
So if all of you all who can get your shot, get it when you can. It does not change your DNA. I did heard that it can change your DNA and change you from a black person to a white person.
Oh boy.
I believe that's not true, though. But we do want all of our loved ones to be vaccinated when they can.
Mhm.
Please do.
Yeah, and we thought long and hard as we are driven to highlight Dr. King's legacy year over year, and it was very difficult for us to decide not to do a parade because the biggest show that we can make of our love and respect for Dr. King, but we also love and respect our community. And you ask yourself, what would Dr. King do?
What would he do? He'd want everybody vaccinated.
He'd want
that's
everybody
for sure.
vaccinated.
Especially his people. He would definitely be doing whatever
Yep.
it takes. And just so you know, Howard has had COVID, and I got my first shot.
Yep.
Thanks to a black church.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
because the black churches are trying everything they can do
They are.
to
They are.
get people vaccinated.
And they've been some of our biggest supporters and partners over the years with the things that we've done. They've fed people. They have just provided us so much support. So shout out to all of Tampa's Black faith community, because they've made a huge difference in how successful we've been over
If
the
there's any
years.
pastors you want to call out by name, it's all good.
If I call one out, then we're gonna get a call from another
okay.
one that says,
All right,
just
all right.
know that the faith community has our back. One of the things that I'd also like to just highlight is with Dr. King. Dr. King did so much, and people have a general understanding of who he was, and of course he's a standard part of the history that's being taught. But we felt that it was important for people to know there's a wealth of information and a wealth of knowledge about the things that Dr. King taught and worked so hard for and died for. And it occurred to us that maybe some of our young people weren't as aware. And what we've always wanted to do was bring along the next generation.
There's a problem with black history out there.
There is.
There is.
And we want to make sure that we're part of making sure, our young people being familiar with what he was about, because it's all very relevant. And so
and it's all about us doing the teaching.
Exactly. And we have to pass it along.
Mm-hmm.
So last year we started something we call the Martin Luther King Parade Foundation Leadership Academy.
Wonderful.
And in doing so, we utilize guest speakers and whatnot to come in and talk to young people about just one or two of Dr. King's, principles, because they all are very relevant today.
Absolutely.
And so the first year we talked about his principle of nonviolence and nonviolent protest and what that was about. People don't fully understand where that came from and how effective that was.
Do you talk about Gandhi?
Well, we refer to Gandhi as part of his inspiration.
Okay.
But nonviolent protest was part of what allowed him to help change this country. And so we had a seminar on nonviolence, and we engaged them in a discussion about that. This year we're going to be partnering with Hillsborough Community College to deal with other social justice topics. And we're going to talk about things like voting rights
which are so relevant
and
today.
Police brutality and all social justice topics that Dr. King was intimately a part of, which drove him to do some of what he did, and we want to pass that along. And we just want to continue to mine the wealth that Dr. King was about, to pass those principles
If you were
along.
here today, there'd still be a lot of work to be done.
Exactly.
Yes.
Fortunately, there's some new warriors in the fight.
Amen.
And we hope that some of the people that we touch step into those roles as well.
Now, tell us, how would a person get into leadership class?
We basically when we're in a position to put that out, we're starting with the people who have been a part of the parade, and they are being communicated with through invites via email. And what we hope is that at least those groups, many of whom have access to young people who are part of the parade every year, bring them to the table and get registered. So we'll have some more information going out about that soon. But particularly if you've been a part of the parade, you will have been contacted.
Now,
about.
people want to contact you.
Mhm.
How can they get hold of you?
They can get hold of us at the parade office. We're not there all the time, but we do monitor our emails and our voicemails, and we will get back to you. So
What's a good email, voicemail?
email mlkparadefoundation@gmail. That's mlkparadefoundation@gmail.com. And the office number is 813-803-8060.
Say that one more time.
813-803-8060. And this is obviously it's a free event. So if anybody's interested in it's virtual, of course.
Oh, it's a virtual event.
It's
okay.
a virtual event. So if anybody,
so that's going to go on regardless of COVID.
Oh yeah, that's going to go on. We're trying our hand at doing some things virtually, like everyone else. And
okay. So is this our last session? Oh wow, that's amazing. We went all the way through.
All right.
And it's been a phenomenal time. And thank you for all you do, because the Martin Luther King Parade. Oh, excuse me. She said we have 15 more minutes, so we're coming
wonderful.
back.
All right.
I thought so. All right. See you back in a minute.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call Herman White at 961-6661. That's 961-6661.
We're playing your favorite old school. Today's R&B. With a smooth touch of jazz. You're listening to In Touch Radio.
We're ready for our last segment of the show. And I'm here with my mover and shaker in the Tampa Bay area, Mr. Howard Harris. He does work during the day for Hillsborough County,
Yep.
but he is giving all of his spare time to the Martin Luther King Parade Foundation. We're so happy about that.
Okay.
And he's telling me that he needs the V word, volunteers, because
Absolutely.
even though they will not be having the parade this year, they have some other things that are going on, and they still need you. What do volunteers do over there?
Well, obviously the day of the parade is when we have, many volunteers. There's a lot of things to do. But before the parade, in the planning phases, there are a lot of things that we are working on that we could use help with. And so the caveat would be, if you have a wonderful idea about something that the Parade Foundation could be doing, be prepared to also work that idea. we love getting the ideas. We love getting involved in things, but there are only a handful of us who are actually doing this in a dedicated fashion. So
Right.
We look for volunteers, particularly if you're part of organizations or whatnot, to take on various challenges. Some of the things that we've tried to do over time, but just have run out of bandwidth to make it happen. The people might remember the Battle of the Bands.
The Battle of the Bands. Yes, we remember that.
Right. So that's it's a wonderful endeavor. People love to come out and watch the Battle of the Bands. It's exciting, but that's a huge undertaking. It costs a lot of money, and it takes a lot of time to coordinate such a thing. But we think we're going to bring that back whenever we get the kind of bandwidth.
Now, would it be
and
the
talent.
same bands?
It would be, bands that get invited from all over. So, we've been.
Oh, okay. It wouldn't be just the two college bands.
No. These would be high school bands, college bands.
Oh, okay.
And
that would be nice.
They all over the Southeast presently. In some places, Atlanta. I think they've had them in New Orleans. There have been Battle of the Bands events.
I see.
And again, it's not just about the event, but it's about the exposure, number one, for the bands themselves, and it's about getting the community
Well,
involved.
they rehearse so much. I know they love to perform.
Exactly.
So giving them a venue, yes, they want that.
Yeah. So we're still, we still have a file drawer
Okay.
of information where
And we have a beautiful stadium, a couple of.
exactly,
Yes,
exactly,
yes.
and and that event has been in Tampa before.
Okay.
And so we'd like to put that together again. So if anyone has a special affinity for doing that kind of thing, we'd love to have someone come and work that with us. We last year entertained putting on a stage play, theater presentation
That would be
on
lovely.
Dr. King. We've had a couple of groups that we've talked to about that kind of thing. But again, we just sort of ran out of time and bandwidth to do it.
We could use some black theater in Tampa.
Well,
Yes.
in doing the legwork around that, we discovered that there's not really a lot of there's not a well-known black theater presence in Tampa right now.
No,
I mean,
there
there are a
really
lot of
isn't.
disjointed efforts.
You just
but,
brought that to my attention because I think that Sarasota, Manatee, they have a African American theater group down there, and some of the seniors leave here to go down there to see their theater.
Yeah, so we would at a minimum like to put something on centered on Dr. King, but as you mentioned, the black theater presence in Tampa could use a shot in the arm. So
Yes.
that's one of the things that's another drawer in the file cabinet.
Yes,
of
I mean,
things
I know
that
you all
we wanna
can't do it all, but you can spearhead it. So yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah. And of course, we just want to do what we do, the parade and the gala and the leadership academy and any other kind of community-based efforts. We just want to do those things better.
Did I hear you say send money?
Yeah. Money is always a key. We have some wonderful sponsors that have been supporting us over the years. I just want to send a quick shout out to Casper's and Company with the 7 McDonald's restaurants. They've been a long-term solid supporter of ours.
Glad to hear
Wilson
that.
Funeral Home has been a solid supporter of ours, both on the scholarship and the sponsorship end. Moffitt Cancer Center, Hillsborough Community College, Publix, the county and the city, of course, and there's probably a lot of them that I'm leaving out. So the danger when you head down that
And
road.
more
is
to be had.
more to be had, absolutely.
So
But
if you are a church, a corporation,
Yep.
a person with funds, what better organization to give to?
We grow based on the community's generosity. The more we're able to do. It's a nonprofit organization, so nobody's getting rich off of this. We basically spend everything we got. So it would be helpful if you want to.
Giving black children money for college?
Yep.
Check.
Yep.
And a community event that we love every year.
Yeah.
And we need.
Yep.
And we need to remember Martin Luther King and everything good about him.
Everything good about him, and everything that continues to feed us today.
Yes, and our children need to learn about him.
Right.
I mean, we just can't say the school is going to teach them everything.
No. And some things are controversial. People look at Dr. King as though he was, this warm and fluffy kind of guy, and he wasn't. I mean, Dr. King was about being disruptive.
True.
If America isn't treating black folks right, then we have to be disruptive.
And he wasn't loved by the FBI back then.
And he wasn't. And so he created a lot, as John Lewis talked about, good trouble.
That's right.
Dr. King created a lot of good trouble. And when we look at some of the trouble that was going on in the 60s.
It was right here in Tampa.
Right here in Tampa. Some of the same trouble. In fact, I came across a picture of a woman in Birmingham where the police accused her of pushing them, I think,
Oh.
and not moving aside for them. And the picture showed a Birmingham cop with his knee on her neck.
Oh, my gosh.
Now, they didn't kill her, but that was what they chose to do to subdue her. And here we are
Here
in
we
2020, and George
the same
Floyd
thing is going on.
is killed by a policeman
And you know,
with his knee on
when
his
John
neck.
Lewis passed away, they had one of his roommates step forward who worked with him for his entire life. And he said, well, you know, John Lewis and I had a lot in common because we were from the segregated South.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I was from Tampa, Florida, Ybor City.
How about that?
Isn't that something?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, the segregated South was right here.
Was right here. Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in large part, it still is.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
not a lot. I came across another picture of the 1968 Olympics protest, where, you know, the gold medal winner, Tommy Smith, John Carlos, had the raised fist on the
Yes.
platform, and they were roundly criticized. How dare they do such a thing at a shining moment for America? Just shut up and run. And
That sounds familiar.
Colin Kaepernick, so many years later, takes a knee in basically the same spirit.
Yes. Yes.
And he's roundly, and he basically sabotaged his career to call attention
The only
to.
good news is he's still getting paid.
Yeah, he is. He
Thank
is.
God for that.
Thank God,
Nike.
but look at what he did. You know, he sacrificed his career, and I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the same. 50 years has passed, and we have some of the same issues.
We have the same issues. It's true.
So we can't.
So your work is more needed than ever.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, keeping the legacy alive and all the things he stood for, and teaching the youth. I mean, these are all things that are vital.
Yeah. There's nothing new under the sun.
There's nothing new. But this thing of teaching our youth is a major, major issue.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times you'll see the kids, they're lost.
Yeah.
They don't understand their legacy, their history, where they came from.
Right, right.
What they need to appreciate, and they need to stay in school.
Yeah, and what they need to keep doing.
What they need to do
today
to succeed.
The games are a little different in terms of how we are addressed, but we need to come up with different ways to address some of the same challenges. And so, God bless Dr. King and his teachings, and we'll continue to push what we know to be his legacy today.
Please tell the people again how they can get hold of you, and especially how you want them to send funds.
Well, our website, which still needs a little updating, but our website is up and running. It allows for you to participate as a parade participant, as a giver of scholarships, of all of that.
Okay.
And the website is www.mlkjrparade.com. That's mlkjrparade.com. You can contact us through the website, but it also allows you to donate and contribute and see what we're doing. Keep up with us. You can send us an email directly at mlkparadefoundation@gmail.com. mlkparadefoundation@gmail.com. And I keep checking my business card because our phone number changed here over the last
All right.
year.
We definitely want the right one.
And our phone number, 813-803-8060. And like I said, we're not necessarily manning that number 100%, but we do know when someone calls, and we answer the voicemails on a daily basis.
Did I see a young lady over there, Barbara Scott? Is she working in the office too?
Barbara is working there. Barbara happens to be the new Mrs. Scott. So, and Ivy Box works with us. Ivy is also, I believe, marketing director with the Black Heritage Festival.
Okay.
And so we try to make sure that we keep our ties to other black organizations active. And Ivy's been a big help to us since she's been with us.
Well, thank you, Howard Harris, for taking the time. And the wonderful thing is I always learn something when I do a show. All right. So anybody who can help, please do it. Help as much as you can.
Mhm.
right now.
All right. I
Thank
like
you
that.
so much for coming.